So this is just an exam 2 module kind of overview video. You should by now be kind of familiar with how I have it set up. So there's the to-do list at the top. There are 3 chapters on this particular lecture exam unit, so I want you to be aware of that. And I just want to introduce the topics to you and talk to you a little bit about what else is in this module. So we're going to start with the cardiovascular system, which is going to be covered by chapters 18 and 19. And in chapter 18, we're really going to just focus on the heart. So the heart is just a specialized muscular pump that's going to help propel blood through one of 2 major circuits, right? So we have the pulmonary circuit. This is going to send low-level oxygenated blood to the lungs for gas exchange. And we also have the systemic circuit, which is going to deliver oxygenated blood, heavily oxygenated blood, to tissues throughout the body. We'll also look at the internal anatomy of the heart, so its valves and its chambers, and the conduction system that generates and kind of distributes the electrical signals that are necessary for its coordinated contraction. We'll talk about a couple other things like the cardiac cycle, cardiac output, and reading and interpreting an EKG. In chapter 19, we're going to kind of shift our focus to blood vessels and circulations. So this is going to be where we analyze how blood moves once it leaves the heart. And we'll compare the structure and function of our arteries and our capillaries and veins and kind of talk about how blood pressure and resistance and vessel elasticity influence what we call perfusion. We're also going to talk about mechanisms that regulate blood pressure and flow. So this is going to include neural, hormonal, and renal pathways. And we're going to talk about how capillary exchange delivers nutrients and waste at the tissue level. So once we talked about the cardiovascular system in 18 and 19, that gives us a really good foundation for us to transition into chapter 22, which is the respiratory system. Because the respiratory system works in a constant partnership with the cardiovascular system. Because remember, our blood and its transportation is also transporting gases. So while the heart and the vessels kind of distribute the gases throughout the body, the respiratory system is going to be responsible for the actual ventilation and gas exchange. So we'll follow the flow of air from the upper respiratory tract into the lungs, and then ultimately the alveoli, where the oxygen is going to diffuse into the blood and carbon dioxide is going to diffuse out. We're also going to talk about the mechanics of breathing, so the role of pressure gradients and the factors that influence hemoglobin binding, and how they're central to really understanding respiratory function and how it adjusts if we're at rest or if we're doing some sort of physical activity. And I think finally we'll talk about how ventilation is regulated and how the respiratory system contributes to acid-base balance. And that's really important because we do a whole chapter just on acid-base balance. So this tends to be a more challenging module or unit for students. So what's in here are some chapter 18 worksheets. They are optional bonus assignment, but what they are meant for is to kind of bring you up to speed if you don't remember stuff from A&P1, or if you've never taken a college biology or chemistry course. This will kind of have you fill out the worksheets, will kind of bring you up to what you should know before you start chapter 18. So if you plan to do these optional bonus assignment worksheets, then I encourage you to do these before you start working on chapter 18, because then hopefully it'll go smoother for you in chapter 18 and 19. You have your 3 Pearson assignments right here, so those are available for you to complete due February 21st. I made supplemental videos. These are a little bit shorter on things that students tend to find challenging. So for example, the cardiac cycle, it's just on section 6 of chapter 18. There's a little video. If I do a video, like a supplemental video, and I'm drawing on something, then I provide you the PowerPoint for what I'm writing and for what I'm drawing. So that's directly below it. Also, the pathway of blood flow. These are all supplemental, none of it's required. But I made documents that contain all the components that, like, say, for example, your left atria or your right atria or your pulmonary vein or your aorta. So they have all the things listed there. You can cut out those cards if you choose to and kind of line them up in order of how your blood flows through your circulatory system. So it's just meant to help you. If you already feel confident with how blood flows through our cardiovascular system or circulatory system, then you don't need to worry about it. But it kind of gives you a way, if you can do it from memory, then you're in good shape. Or a way to practice to see, hey, where you messed up and things like that. Same thing, there's heart conduction cards when we're talking about sending the electrical signals, the pathway in which we do so. You could print those out. The cardiac output table is really good. So the cardiac output table looks like this. And again, you don't have to complete it, but we get into some formulas. And do you need to know the direct formulas? I will say yes for cardiac output. But in general, when you see formulas in AMP2, it's really not meant for you to do any calculations or for you to memorize the formula. It's for you to understand the relationships. So for example, if we look at the cardiac output, which is represented in red here, cardiac output is equal to heart rate times stroke volume. Looking at the formula in this manner shows us that heart rate is directly proportional to cardiac output, and stroke volume is directly proportional to cardiac output because they're both in the numerator and there's no denominator. So what that means is if we increase heart rate, we increase cardiac output. If we increase stroke volume, we increase cardiac output. Or if we decrease heart rate or stroke volume, that will cause us to decrease cardiac output. So that's kind of the relationships that I would expect you to understand rather than the direct formula that's listed here. But a lot of times if you know the formula, that helps you derive the relationship. So it's up to you what works best for you. So these are just different things that I have listed here that in the PowerPoints and in your textbook, you can list things that cause us to increase heart rate or cause us to increase stroke volume, which therefore would lead to an increase in cardiac output, and same thing with decrease, because you need to kind of be aware of different factors that lead to an increase or decrease in cardiac output. Again, all supplemental, so it doesn't have to be done. I do a lot of students, again, just tying everything together because the lecture playlist may be longer. I just do an overview video for chapter 22, and it tells you what sections. They're shorter, but it's giving you the meat of the material. You don't have to watch these. This is just an additional resource if you need it. We also have the Exam 2 guide, and if you have questions about Exam 2 material, you can post them to the discussion board. And your lecture Exam 2 is going to close on February 22nd at 11:59 p.m.